And hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today? What a day in the markets, especially if you're in Tesla. Wow. So, I hope everybody survived and thrived today. Let's make sure I am on the right screen and don't do a Mr. Bungles again. So, I will pay attention. You guys like need a button that will like shock me if I go to the wrong screen. Uh, let's see. Wavy said, quite the downturn today. Bear Wavy is happy. Well, if you were, there are some things to be happy about if you were in bearish mode, by the way. If you're new here, which Wavy is not, please do consider subscribing, ringing the bell, and hitting especially the like button. I can't see those dislikes, so don't bother clicking it. You know, which I don't know why it's still there. Could somebody tell me why the YouTube dislike button is still there if you can't see the dislikes? You know, it's so disappointing. Uh, what is it? How we would never be in bearish mode? Well, let's take a look at these markets. Let's take a look at these. We got the S&P. It's for the algos. It's for the algos, huh? It's those gosh darn algos. Let's blame it on the algos. Let's blame it on the algos. S&P, decent pullback, a little bit more than I wanted. I got our retracement harmonics on here also. What do we have? This key, this 46.67 level that's been on the chart, and look at that. Close, remember we watch the closes. Closes right on that level. Closing right in that level. Oh, we're gonna electrify. We'll hook me up to a shock device to make sure I don't mess up the live stream. And if I do, Wavy's in charge of hitting the button. He's gonna hit the button to electrofute me. He plays long and short. Well, you sort of got. I mean, a lot of things you can play long and short. Some people just don't short stocks, but you know, if you're trading the S&P and Nas, you got to play on both sides. And it was never, I mean, look at this bullish. What? It was briefly last night just for a hair and then never in bullish mode all day. Breaking down below this little key support shelf. And but this 46.67 is so far holding on a closing basis. Bullish mode for me tomorrow. I'm ratcheting it down because if we can get back above this little resistance shelf, then I'm going to re-watching for a return to that 4,700 area. So that's it tomorrow, what I'm looking for. And then the upside targets are the same. We will review them. Sitting right at the bottom of the 4-hour rotation zone. So you know I talk about close being most important. So still closing above the rotation zone. We did hit it with the low and closing at this key level. So this is a really key level. I don't really want to see it break down below for the short-term bullish case. If we did, my next area, let's just see where those harmonics would take me. Look at, all right, so my next minor level, here we go. We got this 46.56 to 46.57 area. If we start dropping below, minor 46.50 essentially, but then major going into tomorrow's is 46.41, same as yesterday. Where does that put us on the daily? Yeah, that's with the separating daily rotation zone. So that is a very key level tomorrow. Where you don't want to see a close below tomorrow is this 1630 area, 1629.50, 1630. That's a 37.5% harmonic and where the rotation zone on the daily is right now. Because if we close below that, it would be back to neutral mode. Would not be in bearish mode unless we give up the 62.5% retracement at 1547.50. But before that, I'd be well in neutral mode because if we wipe out this whole candle, even if you return to this 50% level, that is not good for a bull case. Again, still substantial selling up here, but if you still take a look at the bigger picture, you look at this this 46.67 level. We dip below it here, but then back in it. And until we got below here and had the big sell off, and then we rallied back in it. So look at this, all this price action in this still level, that level still holding. So even on a slight dip tomorrow, I want to see it remain in this level. If we start breaking down from this key area up here again, it's just not as strong from the bullish case. And I'm still, so in bullish mode going to the end of the year, especially with this blast off move. So this to me is still a pullback. I'm just getting a little more concerned that we have hit the bottom of the 4-hour rotation zone. So I am watching for that rotation up tomorrow. That would be really nice. But we prepare for both sides so we don't get caught blindsided one way or the other. You always got to analyze the market from both sides. Let's take a look at this NASDAQ. Look at that. I even changed the little, my little thumbnail. Right on schedule. Now, NASDAQ not coming back to the daily rotation zone, slicing through some key levels. Coming back to kiss the trend line goodbye. Rotation zone's flat, and right at the bottom is 37.5% level. So that's going to be key, especially tomorrow morning. That's that's 16,100. 16,100 is very key for me. From the bull case, kiss the trend line goodbye with a rotation back up would be optimal. I don't want to see close back below this trend line at this point. If we do, let me go over my bearish case. See, we bounced off the far rotation zone, then slicing through it. On a continued move below this 16,100, then I'm really focused on the 16,017. 16,017 is my next key. So that's what I will be watching for. I'm still on the right screen. Yep. Be watching for. And then we got 15,987 minor. That's a 50% from this run up. If we start getting below there, I'll be just slightly bullish then, and then the clear line in the sand is right around this 15,877 area, 62.5. If you get below that, I'm full back in bearish mode. Going into the end of the year, I really need to see some bounce. Here's your bullish mode. You can see here, besides this little spike up right at 8 a.m., just coming up to that level, eking just through it, but there's no pattern there to do anything. We were not in bullish mode at all today. Where do I need to see bullish mode tomorrow? I'm going roughly about this, just above this 16,300. So we have this little resistance area right here. That's what I'll be watching for if we rally back up. When I say bullish mode, we can get a bottoming pattern before then, but in order for me to get really bullish mode during the US session, I need to be back above this 16,300 area, 16,304. So that's about it. Let's see where our harmonics just put us from here to. Just want to check a couple things. Reverse, forward. See if we got any. Don't like that as a pausing bar. There's nothing good for the levels there. By the way, this is not a double top because of this spike up in the middle. That's why it was looking like a potential, but this spike up ruined the pattern. Let's see. Jake asks, what's the significance of a close below the 50 EMA on any given time frame? It just puts things in. I watch for bounces. It just puts things below the 50. I continue to watch for an even bigger pullback and the next lower key targets. It's sort of like the last line in the sand below the rotation zone, and then I really start watching for some bigger pullbacks and some bigger targets if that does not hold, especially on a key close. If it's a close like right at it, or it's iffy, but you get a key close below that with some momentum below that, then I really start getting okay. Like if there was a bearish close below a rising 50, then it's okay, we're losing a lot more momentum, and we start watching for lower prices. Like, I'll just jump here real quick. like Tesla today, where's our daily? That's right at it. I mean, yeah, it's you could split in hairs, but this is something right at it. So that's why we'll watch for continue tomorrow. All right. And the 50 is now gone flat. So this is the last little bit. But let's say tomorrow you have selling pressure and close well below it, then I'm even watching for bigger pullbacks. So that was a good example of something right at the 50 versus something closing well beyond like this. See this close? See how it held here? All right. See how it held here? And then this was, all right, you get that key close well below it with momentum. All right, shifting. And then we had the continued sell-off to much lower key areas. That's different than closing right at it. See how this closed right at it? All right. So you couldn't really make a decision. Was this really bullish at that point? It closed right at it, and you can see what happened afterwards. This, is still a close right at it. This is a close through it. This is a good example. So how it just blew through it. All right, now that's shifting. This was sort of the last little area that you had to really get beyond, and then it takes off. So don't mistake a close just at it versus a close well through it. Give it a little leeway is my advice. It's an area. It's not like a brick wall. So take notice. That's, I guess, the best thing I can say. But if it blows right through it, then that's not a good sign. Uh, Let me turn back on my lines. I'm like, where'd my lines go? Dow, ever so short term, tried to get above bullish partway through and then couldn't sustain anything. Ugh, this price action was just horrible in the Dow today. 35,827 is where I'll be looking for tomorrow now. 35,827 to the upside. The Dow's holding up pretty nicely with this. I'm just checking something with the dailies. Let me get on my other. I did not do the retracements yet. Dow's still holding up on the closing basis above the 12.5%. So this is just a really nice sideways correction here. That's what's still keeping me slightly bullish. Market crash is coming, huh? Oh, I don't necessarily disagree with that. I don't think I'd be surprised if it happened in the next couple weeks, but I would not be surprised if we had another substantial, really big pullback starting sometime next year, especially earlier in the year. Be surprised, again, anything can happen. We still have crappy breadth on here. Uh, So that's one of the things that is concerning to me even after this strong bounce run up. And I've gone to, my bullish mode through the end of the year, but anything can still happen. We'll get some more warnings. I doubt we'll just have a crash out of nowhere. Now, if breadth does not can uh, improve, especially at the beginning of next year, then I'm really going on to more alert mode for a substantial pullback. Uh, yeah, Evergrande defaulted. Yep. What do you mean? Any guess? I think it's going to hit some of the. I think it's going to hurt some of these stable coins like Tether in the crypto market because they're backed by a lot of this junk debt out of China for their Tether Ponzi scheme. So I think it's going to affect that more than anything. I just think it's going to be a ripple effect longer term. I think there's going to be more China carnage longer term. That's another thing that concerns me going into next year. There could be a more of a ripple effect with more defaults in the Chinese financing of their property markets. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on that, whether there's contagion going on. Uh, but short term, I'm watching some of these stable coins backed by Chinese junk, uh, because it's going to get interesting. Tether's going to get real interesting. I'm waiting for that to completely unravel. That's why anything in the cryptos is just a trade at this point. It's not an investment. We need to wipe out these so-called fraudulent stable coins in order to really get some true price action and stability in the cryptos. That's my little crypto rant. Uh, because as long as you can just, and they mint them out of thin air, which is, and they, and then there's all the wash trading and everything else. The crypto market's still a wild west of trading. You can still use great technical analysis on it, but it's the wild west between wash trading, uh all this other crap going on. That's why it's you got to still be careful and keep your eyes open. All right, Dow. This was nice. I really like this kind of setup though. This nice two bar pausing. We had this run up. Now we're pausing. I really like it on the closing basis. One of the key things that I watch for is for a nice strong sideways. We haven't closed below the 12.5% retracement area yet. So that's a nice strong sideways base right at these prior high areas. So I am still watching for a rotation back up in the Dow. What would change that for me? What would change that? I get a little less bullish. We start getting the close below the 4-hour rotation zone in the Dow. Right now, early warning signs if you get below about 35,600. Then I'm watching the bottom of the rotation zone. Below that, my next level is this 35,400. 35,400 to about 35,370 is key. Going to get the first cross of the rotation zone unless we have a huge sell-off, so that is also supportive of the Dow. Again, we don't do anything just because you got the cross of the rotation zone, but that puts the S&P, the Dow, and the Nasdaq in bullish mode again. And when it's in bullish mode, doesn't mean you can't have the pullbacks. It just means longer term, you're looking for those rotations back up, and you're looking for those buying opportunities to come in. So, key area on the Dow is all the way back down. If you get a close below 34,677, then that's watching for new lows, but that would wipe out this up move. So my first warning sign is again this 35,400, 35,370, and then I really don't want to see something. My next key major cluster is 35, about 180 to 200, 35,180 to 35,200. I get below that, I'm shifting to more of a neutral mode. So, NASDAQ, bullish or bearish? Did you just join after we went through that? NASDAQ, I am still in bullish mode, but not as aggressive because we're right at the back again to the bottom of the daily rotation zone to kiss this goodbye. We didn't hold the 4-hour rotation zone, so I really needed to regain this 4-hour rotation zone. And then I don't go up full out bullish mode tomorrow until we're back above 16,300, 16,304. What else? Anything? What are the cryptos doing? I'm just curious. Oops, wrong button. I looked at them, glanced at them earlier today. It's still holding this area of significance, 48,150 area, but starting to roll over. So returning to the daily rotation zone and rolling over. By the way, if you're looking for next levels down, they're still the same, 44,900, 42,333. Then majors coming in at 38,900. Anything else anybody wants me to look at today? Anything else? This has been a stock that's been in and out of our portfolio before. Hormel, nice little. I mean, they missed revenue and only a slight higher. I didn't look into what they said because this had to be something they said, but just really strong break above that key level and the return to the 200. So I've been waiting for decent price action here, and here's an example of that clear path. This right in here, even with that gap, is a clear path. So you had the two levels. This level is 44.63, and then upwards of the full target right at the 200. So I'm still keeping an eye on that. I'm not seeing anything else. Oh, anybody is looking. Peloton still, it's trying to put in some kind of bottoming formation, but just holding this 40-12 harmonic. If that breaks, I'm then back down to focusing on about 34. Little, it'll get interesting though, is if it can get a close back above right about 49.50. I'll start keeping an eye on Peloton. Again, what else do we have? PayPal is starting to get interesting again with this little formation. We have this big weekly double top pattern that we've held at the first target. So again, long term, this is not a long term like, all right, I'm going to be in PayPal for months. This is, especially if you start getting a nice close back above about 200. Then I'm looking for a short-term rally back into the weekly rotation zone area. So that's just a little very short-term bullish play off a key little area here. And now I can ratchet this down. And then a roll over to further weakening price action. All right, with that, let's just just take a look at some of these high flyers. Microsoft still basing. We just actually put this back in our portfolio. Still basing. Had a little bullish entry. Still basing a little sideways. Don't really want to see a close back below. Or what day was that? The 7th low. Because then we'll probably take out the gap fill. What else? AMD. AMD. We had this double top come down. Triggered back on the 3rd, coming down, hitting the first reduced stop, and just reduced stop, coming back, first cross rotation zone. And remember, this becomes the resistance area in here, coming back now, rolling back over. And who was that? Jake. This would be another area I'd be watching the 50, very key. Very key. Because, all right, you see how you bounced off of it before, right in that vicinity. Now you come back down. If it closes right at it, we still, due to the double top, have a lower price action is probable. But that's like the last little line in the sand. And if it just goes through it, then that's very bearish for AMD. All right, with that, I will wrap it up for today. Thank you for watching. I will see everybody in about 30 minutes for the Tesla recap. Talk to everyone later. Bye for now.